All right, what is up, YouTube? I'm back once again with another video, but this one is going to be kind of different. I'm gonna, try to sell some of my positions so that I can get in on another position because right now I would say, tapped out or capped out of, all the market cap that we do have that we've been playing around with. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So I have bought shares of Twilio today, also bought shares of Chemours. And let's go ahead and take a look at that. We see Twilio, what I'm paying attention for Twilio, what I'm paying attention for Twilio is the momentum. The chalk and oscillator is pointing to the momentum to the downside, but typically what that lets us know is that since the momentum is already down, the momentum can't go, any lower right now. We're seeing, I would say, a slight curve in momentum. Even though the chart is 20 minutes behind, I'm still, banking on that this stock will see $30 or maybe retest that $26 level. Now we have seen, I would say a slight sell-off here, and this is taking into account to those three red bars that we do see, including today. And this is typically what the momentum will measure. And right now, the measurement is showing that we're seeing a slight curve in momentum. So we might see upside, or this is just a slight curve, and momentum will stay down for longer than expected, pretty much. So we see that we're still up on AMD. Twilio, like I said, added to this in my personal account. We see Take-Two Interactive, and like I said, this is the video game makers. I went with this one rather than going with EA Sports and Activision because I do play 2K and I do play Grand Theft Auto a lot rather than playing, EA Sports, Madden, or FIFA, or those other games. And I do, and I hardly do play Call of Duty, but sometimes I do get on and I do play. But typically, I went for what I know, and what I know is Grand Theft Auto and 2K. So this is exactly the reason that I did buy it. So you might look into other reasons to buy, other video game makers. But what we know from this year already is that one out of these three game makers are really hot. Take-Two definitely taking the cake on this one. I think it's up over 40% this year. And, this growth, from the share price is definitely outstanding. And it doesn't look like, the growth will stop. So we see Starbucks definitely at $63. We see we're up about $200 on that position. Also, Honeywell, we see Honeywell kind of increasing here at that 133 level. 135 was the all-time high. We're up about $600 on that position. The rest are just about, I would say small losses here and there, but we do take profits every now and then. And what we see right here is about 15 grand worth of profits. We were at a point to where we were almost at that 10% level, to where we were beating out the market beating out the S&P, doing about 10% on the year. But we kind of went off of that path because the market is in a sell-off kind of pattern right now. So we see double C Chemours, and what made me buy this is that, remember, I look at the momentum for the chalk and oscillator, typically letting me know if the stock will rise back up sooner than expected, or there will be some kind of rise sometime soon. So this is the exact reason I bought it rather than looking at the RSI. I've noted that the stock has been selling off since the all-time high of $46. And, I've been watching it on the ticker on CNBC. And now that I see the stock is now below $42, this has made me a reason to actually step in and go ahead and buy some shares here at this $41 level. Now I'm looking for shares to go back up to 46. We pierced 45. So it lets us know the next time we do get some bullish sentiment in the stock, we're going to 50. So like I said, the incremental values, they still do work. We see we're rejected at, we can't say that we were rejected at 45 because the stock did go past 45. But since we did have a slight sell-off in the market, this typically took some of that momentum out of the stock, and now people are going to have to come back in and bid this stock back up. But we do see an incredible uptrend for this stock. It's up about 100% since IPO price, and just about over 500% since the lowest dip at 582. So this is definitely where growth is. It's definitely a chemical name. This is where Freon. If you understand what Freon is, this is definitely the maker of Freon. And definitely look at the company profile on this. If you're comfortable investing in something, that people use every day, this is definitely an investment for you. But, I'm not focusing on any trades right now. I'm definitely looking for investments to hold my money in. I'm really focusing on, like I said, those investments. If they pay dividends, that's pretty good. Like I said, Starbucks, I bought Starbucks for a long term. If Starbucks paid a dividend, that's even better. So like I said, I look for the pattern in the company. If the company is actually producing profits year over year, that's that's an actual plus. And then once we see Starbucks definitely increase the dividend for the year, and like I said, actually paying dividends, that's another plus. So a lot of positives for the stock that's going right now in Starbucks, and we see Chemours definitely producing at a lot of good profits year over year, and this is attributing to that run up in share price. So we see that Facebook, check out Facebook from that dip that we did see on that sell off. We see Facebook get all the way to RSI of about 40, bringing the down momentum, very low, letting some of that air out of Facebook. And we did see it get to about 145, 147 ish, whatever the price was. Apple still, having a hard time breaking out here. So this lets us know that, it's getting to be super crowded. And, there's not a lot of things going on for Apple. I'm pretty much thinking that this is going to move off of the iPhone 8. So whenever the iPhone 8 comes out, this might sell off or it might rally, depending on what shareholders are expecting from this stock. If it does sell off, I'm buying shares. If it doesn't sell off, I'm still buying shares. So what we're seeing here, we're seeing an increased dividend from Apple from 57 cents a share to $63 a share, excuse me. And typically that's what we want to see when a company is producing growth. We want to see dividends. We want to see buybacks. We want to see dividend increases. That's going to let us know exactly where the company is headed. So with that being said, we see Apple had a hard time getting to 153. We see 156 all-time high, but also what else we are seeing is that Apple is struggling to go higher at this 150 level. Like I said, we do $30 increments. Right now, we're having a lot of trouble at this $150 level, and I'm thinking that the stock does sell off so sometime soon, or if it's a sell on the event type of stock, this is exactly what might happen. So a lot of people have been pricing in, buying the stock and just letting the sell-off happen, then just go back and buying more. But what people are doing is that they're being very passive. So nobody's selling their positions. They see a sell-off happen. People are buying more. We see that sell-off that happened for about 400 points. What that made people do is just buy more. So when we see the sell-off happen, we see a lot of people that were, getting small positions here and there. And then the next day, people started to buy more. The next day after that, people started to buy more. And before you know it, we start to finish off the week about positive or breaking even, for the week. So what we see is that people are not letting any sell-off get away from them. They're definitely buying more, using those opportunities to buy more stock. So I guess whenever, people are starting to pay attention to whenever stocks are selling off, this is your opportunity to buy more, because who knows if that stock is going to hit that price once again, because we see how bullish stocks are. So we see Apple will never go back to 120. I'm not sure of it, because people are pushed this thing up so much. If Apple does get a sell-off, we might go to 140 at the most, or maybe 135 at the most. So with this buying momentum is what it's doing, is pushing up the price super high. So that way, when we do get a sell-off, it won't be, such as harsh as, that you expect it. It will be maybe about $3, $4, $5, who knows, depending on, what the magnitude of the sell-off is. So a lot of people were saying that the market is going to crash. I want you to take a look at those people and, just see how stupid they look right now, because they said the market is going to sell off or the market is going to crash. Those people were predicting it in January, or, I would say the latter half of 2016. So anytime somebody was, I would say saying that the market is going to crash, we can go back and look at that person and question their credibility, because we see the market has actually roared back, and we see the market is showing so much bullish sentiment. Every time we get a sell-off, the market bounces back with a lot of buyers, and people are just, steady buying stock. Nobody's letting off of that buy button. You might see some people sell here and there. We see the market is definitely turning negative today, but what we might see tomorrow is that the market might go on a rally, because people are still buying stock. People are, like I said, people are bullish on a lot of these stocks, and that's really what you want to see for an investment. You want to see your stock going up all the time. But I would say if you see stocks going up, every single day, you have to wait on the sell-off here and there. But when we do get a sell-off, I don't think that it will last long. I don't think this will be a sell-off worth holding about 3 days. So we might see 3 down days in a row. and then we might see a rally. But I'm not sure if we will see that anytime this year, because we see people are coming back in, buying stock every single dip. People come back in, buy stock, buy stock. We see that it's really hard to get on the oversold position on the mega cap names. We see Home Depot definitely falling down lower. This is definitely a chance for you to actually go ahead, step in your portfolio, and go ahead and place a order for Home Depot. We see Home Depot is having trouble at that 150 level. We see 160 was touched, but we were tracing back to that $150 level. We have to see exactly why is the stock going back to 150. It might have something to do with the market, but like I said, what we're seeing is that people are taking this opportunity to buy more stock. But what we're seeing for Home Depot is that people are selling stock. And with that upgrade, or with people saying that, Home Depot will consolidate for a while, and, you won't see Home Depot move for a minute, because we have seen, a pretty good run from Home Depot. But, like I said, CNBC said this is exactly why you have to pay attention to the way these stocks move, because sometimes CNBC is on point with their filtering, out the news they need, and actually their technical analysis on these stocks. So like I said, this thing was kind of due for consolidation here, because it has had a really good run up, just like Apple's had a really good run up, running up over $30 a share, and we see it having trouble here. We're seeing we're nearing a top here in the market, and I'm not sure if we break out anytime soon until we can get some actual policy passed. So like I said, I added to Kim Ors, and also we see Square definitely going higher. Square almost hitting $23. And what I'm waiting for, or what I'm looking for Square to do, is that since I sold at 21, like I said, I buy at night. I bought to start this thing off. I bought at 18, sold at 20, got back in at 19, sold at 21, and I'm not holding this thing for to take any dips here and there. I'm simply buying stock when it's buying stock on weakness, selling on good momentum, buying on weakness again, selling on good momentum. But this is definitely a really good long-term investment for you if you wanted to look at something that that will grow over time and definitely has a positive outlook on the market. Also globally, this thing is definitely trying to expand its horizon globally. If you definitely check out the recent news on this, and we see there's a lot of buyers coming in, stepping in right here, buying shares at 22.57. This is another bullish sentiment on the stock. People are definitely feeling confident about the company. They're buying more stock. People are making bets at this company. I think this company goes to $40 sometime soon. I know I know this company's stock is trading at $22 a share, but sometime soon I will think this company will be at $40 a share, because there's just a lot of things. There's just a lot of growth here for this company. It's a very small company, and they're starting to go to Europe. They're starting to look globally for this payment system, and people are starting to have a need for the for Square systems, because like I said, it's a small business. They specialize in small business, and just doing your research on all companies will help you identify and understand where stocks will be, or where stocks will go to in the future. And it's exactly how I make really good percentage on my trades every single year, and it's exactly how I beat the market multiple by I would say maybe 5 or 6 or whatever have you percent each year. And this is a really good way to do it. You find growth companies, and it's nothing hard to it. A lot of people can't find growth companies because they don't like to read, and if you don't like to read, you really can't find any growth companies. You're left trading penny stocks, trading a lot of risk. I would say having a lot of risk going for you, and typically you really miss out on stocks such as this. You see the dip at 582. You really do miss out on dips such as this one, because you're too busy worried about penny stocks. You're too busy worried about becoming rich on maybe a couple of trades, or trading for about 3 months and becoming rich. We are, a lot of people do fall victim to that marketing scheme, that people think that, you'll become a millionaire and, you'll be super rich just trading penny stocks. But, that's another topic for another day. But that's all I have for you guys. I just want to, keep you guys updated on exactly what I'm doing with my portfolio personally, and, with this simulated trading account. We see $4,000 being shaved off of the account right now, because we do see the market is definitely going down. But this typically, we started with about $200,000. I think this was Last month we started with about $200,000. Now we're up to 15 grand. So when we think about trading stocks, a lot of people get confused with making a lot of money. I know a lot of people who do trade stocks and they have students and things like that. They get confused with the dollar amounts. And if you're working with a $20,000 account, you see somebody making 1 grand a day. You're like, wow, maybe I can make 1 grand a day if I started with a $300 account, traded up and just kept making successful trades. But it's typically not that easy. But I would say it becomes easy once you have a big enough account. Once your account is big enough, you're actually able to make thousands of dollars each trade because your account is big enough to do that. And that's what makes trading, a slight bit better, easier, but you're still risking a lot of money on the line, especially if you start trading penny stocks and you're not trading the one with a lot of volume, with with not a lot of hype to it. You might be stuck in a situation to where you're taking a huge loss, and it does go up a lot and it also goes down a lot. So pay attention to that. Never get tricked into buying penny stocks. I know people are talking about Bitcoin. I'm still not, trading this. We see GBTC. This is definitely one way to trade it. I told you guys a long time ago, this is exactly, a good way to trade Bitcoin. And we see Bitcoin is up about 6%. We see exactly what's going on. Bitcoin definitely moving higher here. This is definitely Bitcoin. If you guys go back in my later videos when people were looking for Bitcoins to trade, I definitely made a video on it and showed you guys exactly, this fund right here. And I'm pretty sure it was lower than $100. And probably it was really stagnant here because I don't think a lot of people actually knew about, a way to trade Bitcoin until they actually were introduced to this in the news, actually put this out, GBTC. But like I said, we want to be aware of every single thing. Once we do our homework, we will become better traders. We'll become better investors. And I know reading might be a struggle for a lot of people, so you might want to learn how to read because this is definitely a way to stay ahead of the trading game. A lot of people don't read, which really causes them to lose a lot of money. And if you want to trade Bitcoin, this is, it's trading on the OTC. This is a ETF for Bitcoin, I think it is, or an investment trust, whatever it is. But that's all I have for you guys. Take care.